So welcome, good evening. You have joined us tonight for tonight's Billionaire Book Club, where we are actually discussing part 2 of The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. I am Havilah Malone, coming to you all the way from New Orleans, Louisiana. If you did not catch part 1 of this discussion, we actually went through the first 2 agreements, then no worries. You can actually catch up on that on YouTube. If you go to @Havilah Malone, that's HAVILAHMALONE, and you can find part 1. And tonight we're going to be discussing the final 2 powerful agreements that will help to shift some things within your life. So as always, we're going to leave these lines open because we want you to participate in the conversation, share your commentary, as well as your thoughts on these agreements and how they're affecting you in your life. And if you have any background noise, make sure to, put yourself on mute and then come back on in and join the discussion. And as always, we love to be able to open up with a very, helpful or powerful quote just to get the night started and to make sure we all in the right frame of mind. And I said, you know what? I'm going to share this. Is actually from in my calendar. It's the January thought of the month. And it says, live simply, dream big, be grateful, give love, and laugh lots. Wouldn't you say that'd be a great philosophy to live by, right? Absolutely. So in our part 1 discussion, we went through being impeccable with our word, as well as not taking anything personally. And I'm sure each and every one of you had some opportunities, especially over these last 2 weeks, to be able to start implementing that within your lives. And we know that the last 2 agreements are actually built off of the very first one. So tonight we're going to be discussing don't make assumptions, as well as always do your best. And I love it because these agreements, they seem so, they're simple, and it's something that can be easily incorporated into your life. And then you start to work on it and you start to say, I got some stuff to work on. So we're going to jump right in. So the third agreement, which is don't make assumptions, actually begins on page 63. And it says, we have the tendency to make assumptions about everything in life. Everything. Whether it's the assumption of, oh my goodness, like that person, they didn't talk to me when they walked past me in the hallway. They must have a problem with me. Or, oh, they looked me up and down. Oh, they must think my outfit doesn't look good or something like that. And we make all of these assumptions about things. Or, you know what, I called this person to be able to set up a meeting or to be able to, introduce them to whatever your product or service might be, but they never called me back, so they must not be interested. We make assumptions instead of just having the courage to ask the questions, to continue at these things, to make sure that we can get the truth behind what's going on. And we make assumptions about what other people are doing, what other people are thinking, and how often do you find that when you make assumptions that you are sometimes or a lot of times wrong?
About 75% of the time, maybe 80, maybe 90 on the high side in most situations. And you believe your assumptions, though. I love the fact that he points out that you believe them and you swear they are real.
This is when you make assumptions, or when we make assumptions, we can misunderstand stuff. We start to take everything personally, and we end up creating this whole scenario, this whole dream, this whole life situation off of something that we have just simply assumed. And yeah, somebody in the chat box said, yes, most of the time they are making assumptions, because it's something that it's conditioned. We talked about in our part 1 discussion how we even get into this situation of thinking the way that we do, because we take on the agreements of our parents. We take on the agreements of those who taught us, how to view the world, how to, see things, what's right, what's wrong. So we take on all of these, the dream of the planet, really. And then we start to act according to how other people act. So we see somebody watch TV and they see somebody walk across the screen and they're like, oh, you know, she's stuck up, or oh, she's got an attitude. You just made an assumption about that person because you don't know if they're stuck up. You don't know if they have an attitude. And we carry that into our own personal life, not only to people who we don't know, but even the people who are closest to us. And how does that work out?
Huh.
Usually,
you know, this
very well.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
And we create a lot of like sadness and drama within our own lives by simply making assumptions about things instead of actually getting facts. And you know, as a matter of fact, Napoleon Hill, one of his principles, principle number 10, it's about accurate thinking. You know, about actually finding out for yourself what is real, what is not real, what is truth, what is not the truth, and having the courage and confidence to, you know what, ask the necessary questions so that you do have accurate information. And Don Miguel Ruiz in the Four Agreements makes this as such a big point about it, because we actually create emotional poison when we start to make assumptions about things. And what does poison do?
It harms you. And in some cases, it can kill you.
Yes. Yes. Matter of fact, he brought out, he says, we only see, this is on page 65, he says, we only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. But we don't perceive things the way they are. And because when the truth comes out and the bubble of our dream pops, and we find out it's not what we thought at all. At all. You know what? And I'm just as guilty of having made assumptions in a lot of different situations, you know, within my own life. And I remember one time I was trying to reach out to a friend of mine, and I kept calling, and I wasn't getting a response. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what did I do? Like, you know, did I say something wrong? Did I, you know, aggravate her or something? Like, why isn't she responding to my call? You know, she must be mad at me. You know, that's immediately my mind went to something that was negative, as opposed to being like, okay, maybe she's busy, or let me just give it enough time to allow to figure out what's going on. And by the time we actually did speak, guess what? There was no issue. She was just busy. But in all of that time that I was building this scenario up in my mind of something that was wrong, guess what? I was feeling down. I was feeling, you know, the emotional poison from that. So we really have to be careful about our, you know, thoughts and the things that we are, you know, assuming, and try actually not to assume at all. So anybody want to share the example? Yeah, Ms. Sandra?
Yeah, I like that last statement you made, to try your best not to assume at all. But for myself, for years, I've been working on pretty much that particular point, not to assume. But here's the thing, because of the way our minds are designed, you know, we're on some frequency at all times. Our brains are always alive. It's always working, even when we're asleep. So we're not going to 100% not have assumptions. But the deal is that you could dismiss an assumption. What if you're right? Because you could be right. There are chances that, you know, the numbers are against us that we are right. But what if you are right? At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. You want to attach something good to that which seems to be negative, because just like what you're saying, what if the person is having a bad day? What if the person is busy? And you have an assumption that's contrary to that. So if you dismiss it, then, you know, you left to deal with what the universe will do for you and bless you, because you opted out to be on the positive side of that frequency. And so you get to be blessed for applying this matter of trying not to assume the worst about something. Even if you are correct, you still want to dismiss that thought and move on to your own objectives in life, because that will take care of itself.
So being able to give a positive meaning to the things that are happening within our lives. You know, if you're in traffic and somebody comes and cuts you off, then instead of you saying, okay, well, that person, they saw me and they were just being mean, or they were just trying to, you know, be hurtful to me, you know, or how dare they, hey, that person could be rushing to the hospital because they have a loved one who is, you know, on the verge of losing their life. You know, that person, their wife is in labor in the car and they're trying to, get to the doctor. So instead of making these assumptions about things, and when we don't know and we can't ask the questions, we might as well give them empowering meanings and give them things that are going to help us to be able to move further within our lives in the direction in which we want to go.
Right, because if you give a dispowering, you attach a dispowering meaning to that, you just disempowered yourself.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody want to share the example that was given that Don Miguel Ruiz gives about like going in the mall and seeing somebody who you like? You shared a really great example about how, somebody can go into the mall and they see somebody who that, they may be attracted to, and that person, looks back at you, gives you a wink or a smile or just, was friendly in some way. And then you create a whole scenario, like a whole fantasy and dream that, oh my God, this person likes me. Then you see yourself, dating and going to the park with your dogs. And then you go, then you down the marriage aisle with this person. You live in this whole life. We have such a creative imaginations that we could take one thing that somebody does as simple as a smile and create a whole world, create a whole life from just that one simple thing.
But that was not based on any reality whatsoever. Yeah. Nothing.
In fact, I had a personal experience with that with a couple of friends of mine. They had this gentleman. He was very kind to both of them. And, one of the friends thought he was really like on to her. But at the end of the day, it wasn't her at all. It was her friend. And so he ended up marrying because he was just being kind to her, because the girl that he was interested in, that was her best bud. So he wasn't going to be rude to her, but she took that kindness as that he was interested in her, and he was not interested in her at all.
I've been guilty of that. I'm not going to lie. Not at all. Not at all.
Now think about, what about in our own personal relationships? For those of you who, have marriage partners or in some type of relationship, how often, because it even brings out here, because often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. And then if they don't do what we assume they should do, then we feel hurt and say, you should have known. Like,
you should have known. You know better. You know me. But see, that could be applied to any relationship. Like, I'm not in a personal relationship, but I live with my mother. And I could often assume that she should know better, or she should know, don't do that because I don't like this, or don't say that because I don't like that, or don't put the towels this way because I hate when you fold it that way. Any relationship with any person, be it a wife, a spouse, a friend, a child, a mother, you can do that. You can assume that they know exactly what you're thinking, how you're feeling, what your state is, and that they should know at that moment that they shouldn't have behaved in that way, or they should have done this for you or done that for you, without you opening your mouth and saying what it is that you actually wanted them to do, or what you needed at that time.
Right. And you're right. And that applies to any and every relationship, whether that is colleagues, whether that is, parents or children, or, spouses. We cannot assume that people know what is on our mind or the thing that we want. Yes, mental telepathy does exist. There are people who are clairvoyant, to have the ability to read, minds, but most people do not have that ability. So you cannot assume that the person that you're interacting with then knows what you want. So instead, having the because it's really loving, and having the courage to speak up and say, this is what I want. This is the way that I would like that done. Okay, I appreciate that you did the dishes, but instead of letting them air dry on the counter, could you dry them and put them up? That'd be great.
Oh child, please dry them and put them up.
Yeah. And here, right, exactly, and then put them in the right cabinets. That'd be great. And then we cut down on so much of the drama, so much of the unnecessary energy that is expended within our relationships if we just clearly communicated the things that we want and how we want them. And then here's the thing. In the beginning, because everybody has their own dream of the world. Everybody has their own agreements that they've made, their book of the law that we discussed in our part 1 discussion. So they are operating based off of their rules. And so sometimes we may think, just because we use a label, like you may say, you know what, I love you. Okay, but what love means to you and what love means to me may be two totally different things. The way love shows up for you and the way love shows up for me, two completely different things. So having the conversation of what exactly are the expectations? When we go out together, do you want me to open the door? Do you want me to, pull out the chair for you? Those different things, like being clear in your communication and not being afraid to ask for what you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Life too, so you deserve to have the things that you want.
Mm-hmm. And here's what I like is the point you just made is exactly what I was thinking. It was about the time and the energy, because when you really think about it, all the time that you spend and the energy that you spend and taking this assumption, this thing that is real or not real, especially if you take a negative viewpoint of it, there is so much time that you use up with that. It could be hours, it could be days, it could be weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And so the best course to take is to just dismiss the thought when it comes, because you can't always have total control of the things that come through your mind. Not always. It's about dismissing it when it comes. That's where the work has to be put in. That's when you're doing the right thing. Regardless of the fact that you had the assumption, it's your turnaround time that it takes for you to dismiss it as that I could be wrong, and that's the end of that. Or you can attach something positive to it, because the energy that's expended, it's and you can't retrieve it. You can't get it back.
It's gone.
It's gone. And what you could have learned or what you could have done positively, in that time, well, it puts you behind. You're behind schedule. Because you're spending time on something that may or may not be real. Because even if it's real, it don't matter, because you're still making the right decision to dismiss it and just choose a better thought, a better assumption, one that works for you and the person. Yeah.
Choose power over
pain. Well, I have a very funny. This is Gina, honey. I have a very funny story to share that's talking about these assumptions.
Yeah.
That just happened to me, and I'm new to this area, and I met a guy about 50 miles from here. When I stayed with my girlfriend the last time, just getting coffee, just grabbing a cup of coffee before I went to this thing. I know I'm still trying to break my coffee habit. Anyway, it was super funny. This girl grabbed my number because I was talking to her primarily, and she must have given him my number, and he's like, "Oh, I'm Bob, blah, blah, blah." So anyway, he was talking to me, just very sentence kind of text messages. And the only thing that he ever asked me was my age, which of course I shared. And he said, well, I'm 63. And, the only thing he knows about me really is my first and last name, my age, and that age is nothing but a number to me. Like, that's as far as our conversations have ever gone. And he sends me this text message that says, "It was nice meeting you. I don't think we have anything in common. You also live too far away, so take care." So I responded to a text message. Clearly, you are correct if you are making that decision based on absolutely no information about me other than my age, and that age is nothing but a number to me. We've never even had a conversation, and 2.5 hours is very close, especially considering I spend a lot of time at my friend's house that lives there. I totally respect your decision of not wanting to get to know me any better. It was nice meeting you too. I hope 2017 blesses you with everything wonderful. Be safe on that bike of yours. Drivers around here are a little reckless based on my observations. So do be careful out there. God bless. All of a sudden, he's like, it was just hilarious, because he's like, "Oh, I didn't mean that." I think he was, again, fear prevented him from even finding anything else out about me. And then he started talking to me again. And I wasn't even trying to like bring him back in because I didn't care one way or the other. But if he could learn something from that, I was willing to bless him with letting him know, you know, that's fine, but FYI, basically, you don't know anything about me at all. How can you know if we have anything in common? Just super funny.
Wow, and you know what? It's such a blessing when someone shows you who they are, then you believe them. And sometimes people are brought into our lives and people are taken out of our lives. And so instead of us trying to like hold on to that thing that's being moved, being able to just flow with it and let that go. So good for you for being able to send back an empowering, message to him and not spew back, because a lot of times when we feel or can feel attacked by somebody else, because they're making assumptions, it's easy just to try to attack back. But instead, when you put back out positive energy, it's like, hey, have a great year. I hope you find what you're looking for, because that means that the doors are continuing to open for you to actually bring to you what is actually supposed to be there. And all these little tests along the way, it's like, okay, you getting it. You learning your lessons. All right, you getting ready.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
I didn't.
So much for
How
sharing
can you get offended? How can you get offended by somebody who doesn't know anything about you?
that.
I can't personally. I can't. So I just wanted to share that. I thought it was cute.
No, thank you so much, Gina, for sharing that. And it says on here on page 67, it says, it's very interesting how the human mind works. It says, we have the need to justify everything, to explain and understand everything in order to feel safe. So we have millions of questions that need answers because there's so many things that the reasoning mind cannot explain. And it's not important if the answer is correct. Just the answer itself makes us feel safe. This is why we make assumptions.
That made so much sense to me because I love reasons why. That is my, I function well. Well, why? Well, why does it do this? Why is the sky blue? Why does the sun shine? All of these questions are out there. And I'm like, okay, I need an answer so that I can process and move forward. When I read this, I was like, okay, so it's okay to not necessarily know why, because you might not have the answer right now. And then assuming an answer, which could turn out to be an incorrect answer, is not going to serve you in any way, shape, or form. So the assuming kind of like, okay, well, you don't know the answer. So that's fine. I don't know. So I'm getting comfortable with, I don't know.
Or not having a rational reasoning mind answer that has to come to us. Because matter of fact, it was so interesting. A young lady had asked me about a person that she was interested in doing some work with. And I was like, you know what? I said, I had some dealings with this person in the past. I said, so I can't really pinpoint what it is, but when I hear the name, a feeling comes up. And that feeling is, for me personally, I would not be doing business with them again. And I said,
oh my God,
what exactly it is. And so it was so interesting because she then started sharing about some experiences that she had with this person. And it was like, whoa, so she had basically gotten that same intuitive information from that, situation with them. So I've come to learn, as a matter of fact, in the Hawaiian culture, they give more credence to you trusting, or a person trusting their gut, trusting their intuition, than actually trusting the educated or reasoning mind. Because when we even talk about our brain and neurons, where most of the pieces to our brain is actually located? It's in our gut. It's through our sympathetic system in that solar plexus. That's where, so we get that gut feeling, that intuition, that maybe I shouldn't go down this street, or maybe I shouldn't, go over there by that person or whatever. Listen to that internal voice. Listen to that guidance, because it's coming from so much more information is actually being brought to you through that than you could ever reason through your reasoning mind.
I'm glad
absolutely have Havilah. And just that situation that I just described, like, I meant what I said. Clearly, we don't have anything in common because And it was just overwhelming to me, because if somebody is like that lost as far as the whole thing transpired, where he's going to be on a completely different page. Do you know what I mean? Like he's not grown enough, and he's 63. So if he hasn't grown yet, he's probably not going to. And you know me, I'm all about that, growth thing. So yeah, and it's, it's just that overwhelming feeling. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm. Here on page 68, it says, if others tell us something, we make assumptions. If they don't tell us something, we make assumptions to fulfill our need to know, to replace the need to communicate. Even if we hear something we don't understand, we make assumptions about what it means, when then believe the assumptions. So we make all sorts of assumptions because we don't have the courage to ask questions. That's the key, is being able to ask the questions so that you can get the clarity and get the understanding that allows you to make an informed decision, and then move on to whatever it is that you want to be able to do, or however you want to be able to operate within the situation that's been presented to you. So this is definitely an agreement that Don Miguel Ruiz has laid out that could be so, not can be, is so powerful for us in the way that we operate, in the world. Matter of fact, it says, we make the assumption that everyone sees life the way we do. We assume that others think the way we think, they feel the way we feel, they judge the way we judge, and they abuse the way we abuse.
Guilty.
Mm.
Oh, guilty. Guilty. I was very guilty of this. And it took me a little, I remember the first time I had to step aside and say, well, you don't see it the way I see it. You literally don't. Like, it wasn't that they didn't understand, they just didn't see it. And it was such an epiphany, because the whole time I'm like, you don't see this? You don't see it the way I see it? You don't understand the way you don't think the way I think? You really don't. You don't at all if you see it this way. Oh, okay, so I have to change the way I would be explaining this, or I have to change the way I do things now, because you don't understand it the way I understand it. You're different, and I have to communicate with you the way that what works for you versus what works for me.
Yes, that's the key. I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to read The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and it breaks down different communication styles and saying that how people experience love. And it's not just for like romantic relationships, but could be used in parent relationships, like for work relationships. So understanding the way that people communicate, because we do assume that people communicate the way that we do. They see things the way that we do. Like for me, like on the Myers-Briggs test or that scale, I am an ENTJ, which only of females, there's only like 1% to 2% of females in the world are ENTJs. So I assumed that everybody thought the way that I thought, or strategized, or, formulated their thought pattern the way that I did. So I would get frustrated with people so easily when I'm like, why didn't you see that? Like, you couldn't have seen that if you took that step, that was what was going to happen. Because I also, my mind sees things like, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead, where, you know what, there may be somebody else who can see 10 steps ahead, or somebody who can only see 2 steps ahead. But guess what? When we start to understand how other people communicate, how other people think, then we can then start to have better communication. Especially people who are in our lives, back to the 5 love languages. When you understand that somebody, like, their primary communication form or their love language is acts of service. So you know that, hey, if I go and help this person take out the trash, or I go and help this person, with the project that they're working on, then they will know that I care about them. They will know that I have their sincere interest at heart. But because your love language is quality time, you think just spending time around them or trying to hang out with them is expressing, care, feelings. That don't resonate with them. That doesn't register with them at all. And so when we start to understand and see that, things because we create our own world. Remember last week we talked about we are the writer, the director, the producer, and the star in our own life story. And everybody else is too. So when we want to have better communication, we have to learn to communicate the way they do and not make assumptions based off of our model of reality and our model of the world. Like, that is so powerful. That will help transform the people, the relationships with the people you work with, the people who are in your household, and everybody, even strangers on the street. You don't have to make assumptions about what they're thinking or why they're doing what they're doing. First of all, whatever they're doing is none of your business.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
Yes.
My business at all.
Yeah, and the matter of fact, here on the page it says, when it talks about why we make the assumptions that we make, it says this is why we're afraid to be ourselves around people, because we think that people are going to judge us, or we think that people think the way that we do. So when we look in the mirror and we're like, oh, you know, I have a few too many extra pounds, and you think everybody else sees that too, where somebody else could look at you and be like, oh my God, I think you're absolutely beautiful. Like, what are you talking about? So we can't assume that other people even abuse the way that we do, because we know that we could be the worst abusers of ourselves. And so, and this was a wow for me, and this is on page 69, it says, so even before others have the chance to reject us, we have already rejected ourselves.
That is the way the human mind works.
That is the way the human mind works. So having these type of discussions, learning this type of information gives us allows us to open up the doors, you know, really be able to look in the mirror and says, okay, so this is the way that I think, and this is the reason why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, and it's not working for me. Now I have the opportunity through knowledge to do something different and do something better so that I actually get the results that I want in my life. Because isn't that what we all want? The actual results we want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah. It says, maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Yes.
Agree.
So this agreement about not making assumptions is an extremely powerful one. Even in terms of like people who come into our lives, like accept people for the way that they are, you know,
that's so powerful.
Change them, because quite frankly, we know that we can't change anybody. All we can do is work on ourselves. And then through the self-work that we do end up influencing those around us, you know, because of that energy and them, you know, picking up on that. But we can't change anybody.
Nope. Not a bit.
At all. So
people change because they want to change themselves.
Yes. Because they,
you know what? Letting go of that is so freeing. So freeing. It's such a weight off my shoulders.
And when you say when it's such a weight off of your shoulders, like in what way do you experience that relief?
Oh my gosh. I sleep better. I breathe better. I enjoy every moment more because I can remember the days that I was like somewhat absorbed with that, you know, and I'm just, it's all gone now. It's just, I just feel like it's, you know, just not me against the world, but I just have no, it's just freeing. I just feel much more relaxed, much more at peace. That's what it's done for me. I just let people be where they are and love them anyway. And I don't judge anything anymore. I don't make assumptions about what they think about me. It's not really that I don't care. I just release them in love. And it's just a beautiful way to live life.
Absolutely. It is a beautiful way to live life. As a matter of fact, on page 72, he says, find your voice to ask for what you want. Everybody, I love this. Matter of fact, I think I posted about this a couple days ago on social media. It says, everybody has the right to tell you yes or no but you always have the right to ask. And likewise, everybody has the right to ask, and you have the right to say yes or no. So
Yes.
isn't that so powerful? Like,
Yeah.
don't hold back. Ask the hard questions. Ask the things that you want to know. Get the clarification that you need to be able to make solid, informed decisions. And guess what? The person that you ask the question to, the answer may be no. Okay. Or the answer may be yes. But the point is, you have the right to ask, and so does everybody else. So have the courage to really go after and do the things that you want in your life. You only get one of them. You get one. So you have to make the most of it, the absolute most of it. And clear communication is the key. So it says we all have these habits and routines that we're not even aware of. So becoming aware of these habits and understanding is the most important part of this agreement. It's the first step to this particular agreement. So it's not merely enough to just know it, though. You then have to take action. So that taking action over and over and over again will help to strengthen our will, and it nurtures the seed and establishes a foundation for the habits that will grow for us in our lives. So even though you're going to, work at putting these agreements into place in your life, about not making assumptions, like Miss Sandra had brought out earlier, it could be a little bit difficult sometimes to not make assumptions, but that will bring us actually right into the fourth agreement about always doing your best. Who wants to open up with us about always doing your best?
So what I really liked about this, always doing your best, it was, you hear that when I heard that as a child, just do your best, just do your best. But what was interesting to me was always do your best, the way he says, no more or no less. So I was like, well, wait a minute. How do you quantify that? Because I got to know. It's a mathematical formula for me. What is my best? And then he goes into that at any given moment, your best could be less than it was a second ago or more than it is in the next second. I was like, well, he said, think about it. If you're sick, your best is not going to be the same when you're well. But if you're doing your best, it doesn't matter. And that was my answer to the non-mathematical problem.
Yes. We have this this societal agreement or this need to strive for perfection. And we think that, okay, if we didn't, do this perfectly, then it's a failure. But when we accept this agreement that we will always do our best, understanding and knowing that circumstances change, time and seasons change. From one moment to the next, things change. So in the moment that you're in, if you're doing your very best. I love that you brought out the example of if you're sick, your best is not going to be the same as the day that you're healthy and the sun is shining and you feel really good and, all your immune system is optimally functioning than the day that you have the flu. It's not going to be the same for you. So it says everything is alive. It's on page 76. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality, and other times it will not be as good. So your best will depend on whether you're feeling wonderful and happy or upset, angry, or jealous. So regardless of the quality, keep doing your best. No more, no less than your best. So that right there, there's such power and freedom in that. Knowing that, what? Yeah, so today I was only able to make, if you were, making calls for any particular thing, like within your business, today I was only able to make, 25 calls. But, yesterday you only made 12. But if you did your best, that 12 was your best for yesterday and 25 was your personal best for today, then you did exactly what you were supposed to do.
But it also helps with my best is not Havilah's best or Sandra's best or Brandon's best or Angela's best, Angel's best. We have our criteria is different. We don't have to compare ourselves to others. We compare ourselves to us, who we are, ourselves. And you decide what that is. So you don't have to feel bad about it. And when he talked about when you try to overdo what that does to you, and I had never considered that because I'm a pusher. I love to push. Let's push, push, push. But when you overdo, you deplete your body, you go against yourself, and it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. I hadn't even considered that.
And that's an excellent point.
That's a big learn.
And that's an excellent point that Tennille makes, because actually I was thinking the same thing when it comes to the comparison thing. You can take a situation where the person that has the flu, and in one person, they both have the flu. One makes 12 calls, the other one makes 24. You don't compare yourself to the person that made the 24. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the makeup of the person. So, and to compare yourself with someone, you're being unfair to yourself. And that's an excellent point. You don't compare yourself to anybody because you have your own strengths, that another person may not have the strength that you have, and vice versa. At the end of the day, it's all about getting better and better and better, recognizing your strengths and getting better at it. But comparing yourself, you're being so unfair to yourself because you are not that person. You are you with all your special talents and uniqueness. And so if you can't do 24 with the same conditions going on, 12 works for you. Both of you have done your best.
Exactly.
That's an excellent point, Tennille.
Yes, exactly. It says when you overdo, you deplete your body and go against yourself. And it will take you longer to accomplish your goal. But if you do less than your best, you subject yourself to frustration, self-judgment, guilt, and regrets. So we always want to make sure we're taking inventory of ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with being able to look at someone and saying, okay, you know what? I like the direction in which their life is going. And it seems like, this is their routine for being able to be successful. And when you first start off, trying to, model that routine, you're not going to be able to perform at their level because they've been doing it for much longer than you have. So you just have to, in that moment, do your personal best. And matter of fact, I love the example that Don Miguel Ruiz shares on page 77 when he says that there was a gentleman, a man he wanted to transcend. So he decided he was going to go to this Buddhist temple and he was going to go talk to the guru and find out how do I transcend? And so he said, he went to the master. He said, Master, if I meditate for 4 hours a day, how long is it going to take me to transcend? And so the master looked at him and he said, well, if you meditate for 4 hours a day, perhaps you'll transcend in 10 years. He was like, okay. He was like, I think I can do better than this. He said, well, what if I meditated for 8 hours a day? How long would it take me to transcend? And the master looked at him and said, if you meditate 8 hours a day, perhaps you'll transcend in 20 years. He said, but why would it take longer for me to transcend, if I'm going to meditate even more? And the master replied, you are not here to sacrifice your joy or your life. You are here to live and be happy and to love. If you can do your best in 2 hours of meditation, but spend 8 hours instead, you're only going to grow tired, miss the point, and won't enjoy your life. Do your best, and perhaps you will learn that no matter how long you meditate, you can live, love, and be happy.
Boom. Because I was the man. I'm gonna tell you. I was like, man, I want to get this done. Let's get it done. I want to transcend.
And that should bring personal joy to you when you achieve that. Personal joy.
Yes. Anything you do, if you have that spirit of joy about doing it, no matter if you spent 2 hours doing it or if you spent 9 or 10 hours doing it, it's the energy behind the action that brings the result. So I can remember, oh my God, I would be sitting in front of the computer, even in times when I was trying to write, because I have several different books or whatever. So I'd be trying to write and I'm trying to push myself no, I need to get in this much time, writing. And I'm so I'm forcing myself and nothing good came out. The stuff that came out was garbage. Quite frankly. I remember when I was like, I would get up from the computer, I would go out and I would go to the lake and I would go walking on the lake. And there was something about being out in the sun and by the water. And then I would just get into that mode and I would be happy and like the energy was flowing. And oh my God, ideas started just flowing. I was like, oh my God, like this is great stuff. Let me write this down. Because you want energy to flow through you, and we can, by trying to force ourselves or push ourselves too hard, we can actually stop the flow of energy.
Yep.
That's important.
Agreed.
Yes. Breathe too, because we breathe so shallow. Lord, you just do like a whole breathing meditation. Yeah, so we just want to make sure at all times that we are doing our personal best. And it's a matter of fact on 79, it says, doing your best is taking the action because you love it, not because you're expecting a reward. Most people do exactly the opposite. They only take action when they expect a reward and they don't enjoy the action. And that's the reason why they don't do their best.
That's why people work for the weekend, girl.
Yep.
It says there was a poll by Gallup, and it said that 70% of Americans hate their job. Hate their job. So you wake up every single day to go work at a place that you don't enjoy, which means the things that you're doing throughout the day, you have that same energy behind doing them, which is also the energy you're putting out into the world. And remember that the energy we put out is energy that we get back. And so you're working only for the weekend, and then you get a couple, days or just a few hours of enjoyment, and then you go back to this grind, and you can even feel it as your body collapses, as your thought process starts to collapse. And you're not even able to do your personal best. But the opposite of that, the alternative to that, is to truly go after the thing that you want, the thing that you love. Why? Because the energy behind that is going to be expansive. It'll be growth oriented. And quite frankly, in that moment, in that time, you will be playing the note that you were brought here to bring to the earth, to bring to mankind, to play in this symphony we call life. And then we can all enjoy not only what we're doing, but we can enjoy each other. Because you don't have to walk up, to that customer service rep who got a bad attitude because they don't want to be there no way. It's all cyclical. It all is connected, and it all starts with us. The choices that we make, the agreements that we make within our lives, and how we end up living our lives. Because as Don Miguel Ruiz says, you could literally be walking through hell, but be in your own personal heaven. That's powerful.
Amen.
That's powerful. So it said, matter of fact, this is him kind of just reiterating that. It said people work hard all week long, suffering the work, suffering the action, not because they like to, but because they feel that they have to. And then when they do receive the money, they're unhappy anyways. So we do know that money does not bring happiness. It's actually happiness that brings money. So you might want to get happy.
I like that.
Yes, absolutely. At the end of the day, everything is energy. It is just an exchange of energy. Even money, that's an exchange of value. It's an energy that is flowing. So when we try to hold on to it and we have that closed fist and like, I'm gonna, I can't spend that couple of dollars right there, then that's the energy that you're putting into that is exactly what you're going to get, because you're going to get people who are going to respond to you in the same way, like, I can't give you those couple of dollars. You have to be mindful that we are creators. Like, we are creating the experience that we're having in our lives. So if the experience that you're having right now is not the one that you like, it's time to start evaluating. And especially with these 4 agreements, starting to incorporate these, being impeccable with your word, not taking anything personally, not making assumptions, and always doing your best, you will start to create an entirely different life, an entirely different experience of life. And that, my friends, is freedom. It's freedom. So On to matter of fact, this is on page 80. It says, when you, and we're discussing always doing your best. It says, when you do your best, you don't give the judge the opportunity to find you guilty or to blame you. He said, I did my best, and there are no regrets. And this agreement, this is what is really going to set you free. Because you'll know no matter what and somebody else thinks, when you know that you did your best, then that's all there is.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they think, remember, it's not our business.
Not our business. Not our business. Not my business.
At all. And it is also, when you do your best, you'll learn to accept yourself. Like, isn't that the one thing that from young we are searching for? Like, love, approval, acceptance. So when we can learn to not search outside for those things, but we can give that to ourselves, and we learn to accept ourselves, then that means nobody has power over you. Nobody has control over you. You literally get to choose how you operate in this world, because it's not based off of anybody else. And this agreement to always do your best will help you to make that a reality.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. And here's how you know. This is brought on page 81. Here's how you know you're doing your best. You know you're doing your best when you're enjoying the action or doing it in a way that will not have negative repercussions for you. You do your best because you want to do it, not because you have to do it, not because you're trying to please the judge, and not because you're trying to please other people. So you'll know when you are doing your best, because there'll be a sense of satisfaction, a sense of happiness, a sense of like, okay, I did that. Awesome. Like I feel good about that. I feel good.
I like what he talks about on 82 when he says action is about living fully. Inaction is the way that we deny life. Inaction is sitting in front of the television every day for years because you are afraid to be alive and to take the risk of expressing what you are.
Yes.
And that I hadn't even, like, okay, I'm not doing anything, but I'm denying the life that I have by not getting out there, by not trying, by not experiencing, by not doing my best. I am denying all of this wonderful, beautiful self that I have. No, that's not cool.
Not at all. So you always want to be in that space to be able to do the very best. And wherever life takes you, whatever you're going through, you can apply this particular agreement. It says, and we don't have to know, or we don't need to know or to prove anything. Just be. To take a risk and enjoy your life is all that matters.
Right.
Just to be. Just to be. Like, that phrase right there is something that, I think there'll be a lot of benefit in just like even meditating on. What is it for you to just be? To just be. It says, say no when you want to say no. Say yes when you want to say yes. And you have the right to be you. And you can only be you when you are doing your best.
And not attach yourself to the results of doing your best, because your best may not make somebody else comfortable. But you gotta disconnect yourself from the feelings of other people, whether especially if they're negative. If you're just being and you're just being yourself, everybody's not gonna like you being yourself, because in most cases they don't know who they are. So who are you to walk around here being totally and flow and connected to who you want to be? Who are you, and who do you think you are when I'm all messed up over here?
How dare
People are
you?
something.
How dare you?
Who are you when you're in tune with yourself? Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in tune with yourself and you're as to who you are and you want to make
You make the decisions for your life. Who are you? Because
And people become very uncomfortable with that.
Yes.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That is
So
insane.
they want to dissect you. They want to dissect you, and also they want to define you're comfortable with who you are, but they want to dissect you and put you in their realm.
Like they know best about what's best for you being in yourself. Nah,
that's right.
that is crazy.
I'm me.
But you got to be ready for that. You got to be strong. It takes courage to be able to be comfortable with that, and not only just comfortable, but ready to even demonstrate your comfortability to whoever.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why. No, go ahead.
I said that takes a lot of courage. You know, it really does. Just being comfortable with yourself and who you are, and I'm gonna go back to, this is Chriselle. I'm gonna go back to, you know, just waking up in the morning and making a decision to live your day how you want to live your day, and not let anybody else impeach on that. You know, it takes a lot of courage to say, to wake up in the morning, and I'm not going to make the decision of letting other people images of me or anything else define who I am. I define me.
Right. And I like that. Chriselle, your name is again? Chriselle?
Chriselle.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because why does it take courage? It takes courage because you are so outnumbered. You are so outnumbered. But here's one thing that's very, very encouraging is that when we remember that there are higher power, higher sources, you know, the universe intelligence, you plus him is the majority.
Yeah.
Because we are outnumbered otherwise.
Yeah.
So it takes courage.
It takes courage.
To be you instead of hiding. You know, hiding when you're in certain settings or around certain people, you hide who you are. That's because you lack courage.
Amen. Absolutely true.
And that's you absolutely right, because it does, we are outnumbered, because there's not a lot of people that have enough courage to really be at one with who they really are. There's a lot of people though, they don't know how to be themselves really, or they don't have enough courage to say or ask those questions. What y'all talked about earlier. Ask a question that may make a situation uncomfortable. There's not many people like that because they're afraid.
Absolutely.
And when you do, that brings their fear out even more. That's been my experience.
And the person that lacked courage began to blend in, like you're one of them.
Because you know,
you're not.
To stand out from the crowd, that takes courage. And for people, and for each and every one of you who are on this line, because you're on this growth journey, this self-development journey, and the awareness is there, like, okay, I know that things normally go like this for the majority of mankind, but I know that it can be different for me. And so for you to take the steps to be able to continue to feed your mind on a daily basis, and then not only just to feed your mind, but take action on the things that you are learning, like implementing these agreements, implementing those principles of success, you know, doing the things that most people wish they had the courage to do, that sets you apart, that makes you a part of a very small piece of humanity. But guess what? The world needs you, because they need to see examples of those who are willing to have that, willing to show that it can be done, that it's possible. Because if I see you and I see you operating differently from everybody else, and even if it seems like you're standing alone, that means that, you know, that can awaken whatever is in me to be able to come and join you there.
Right. And they don't even realize they need you, because it's like the scenario with the parent and the child. The child has he just can't see how much he needs his parents' wisdom. In fact, he rejects it. But later on down the line, as he see this stuff come into fruition that parent had talked about, then he begins to what? Perhaps change. Start making some changes. So the same thing for the world. Those who do give you that pressure, who do try to make you, you know, get off the course that you are on by negativity, they don't know that they need you. So you actually owe them to keep doing what you're doing, because one day they come on your side. You know, they begin to read. They begin to see the benefits in doing those habits or doing those things that you were doing to help you become who you were becoming and then eventually become.
Yes, indeed. So, you know what? Those first three agreements have always been based off of the last three have always been based off of the first, which is to be impeccable with our word. And then for us to be able to even do our best, we must be able to put that into place. And says, and don't expect that you're going to always be able to be impeccable with your word. Don't expect that you're going to never take anything personally. All you gotta do is just do your best. Don't expect that you'll never make assumptions, but you can certainly do your best. All we have to do in every single day, in every waking breath, when we are here and alive, is just to do our best. And that is enough. It's enough.
Right.
And
remember that you're on stage.
Better. And you remember what?
I say, and to remember that you're on stage and that people are watching. They are watching you. So and when folks are watching you, you want to do your best. You're doing it for you, but by default, you want others to be able to benefit from you. So you're being watched, especially all this stuff you're talking about, and you're supposed to be walking the walk, talking the talk. They're watching to see exactly what you are becoming. So then they can figure out, oh, you know what? She had it right. Or he had it right. Give me one of them books. You know, any one of them. Give me one of them.
Where's the next book club?
I think exactly what you're describing is just living by example, and people pick up on that. And I could not agree with that more.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just want to do your best to honor those agreements. And even though, yes, whether you were doing the agreements or you weren't doing the agreements, people are going to be watching you. So that really isn't our concern. It really isn't our concern. Your concern and my concern is to be able to do the best because it's who I am. Because when I do my best, that's when my divinity is being manifested. When I do my best is when I feel the best. And then by me being in that best state, that also affects other people. They get the byproduct of my best, which is a wonderful thing. So we want to do those things, you know, for ourselves. And by default, we get to help free other people too. Like, that's a beautiful thing.
Exactly. Well put, Havilah.
I love that. This is Sheila Mack. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
honey, how you doing?
Hi. You know, it's like when we're doing our talents and doing our best version of ourselves, there is no competition because we're not competing. It's not about ego. It's like we're connected to God or source, and it's like we're only able to help people when we're there. It's like that flow state, and it's not about anything else but service and love and goodness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's easy. Everything else, all that other trying to do what everybody else wants you to do, that's hard because it's against what we really are, which is all beautiful people that have these things to express, this love.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Amen.
Thank you so much
Beautifully
for sharing
said.
that, Sheila. Absolutely. And you know what? And I love this. This is actually brought on page 89. He says, I have fallen many times, but I stood up and kept going. He said, if I fall, I am strong enough. I am intelligent enough. I can do it. I stood up and kept going. If I fell, I kept going and going. And each time it became easier and easier. So if you fall, do not judge. Even when others fall, do not judge. It is just your responsibility to do your best and just keep going. And every day it's going to get better and better and better as you are on this journey to personal freedom, because that's what, at the end of the day, it's all about. And we only have the day that we're in, the moment that we're in. That's the only thing that's real. Like us having this conversation, these words are flowing out of our mouths and these thoughts are coming together and we're in this like communion together. This is all that's real right now, is this moment. So enjoy it. Do your best. It says today is the beginning of a new dream. It's your dream. So how's your dream going? What's your dream look like? What's your dream look like?
Amazing.
Yes, make it the most fantastic, fabulous, beautiful, amazing, abundant, resourceful dream ever, because it's yours and you can.
Mm-hmm.
You can. So they bring out a little bit about breaking those old agreements. And this really is around forgiveness. Like forgiving yourself, forgiving your parents, forgiving those around you, because people only do the best they can with what they have. So, and it's that awareness that we now have about things that we can do to make our path a little bit better. Now that we have the awareness, we can take the action. So you want to forgive yourself for anything from your past, any way that you used to operate, any way that you used to think, even used to beat yourself up all the time about not coming through or not being what you thought you were supposed to be. It's time to forgive yourself. Be able to let that go. And I love how it says that us not being afraid to play. I love, spending time with mentoring, helping children, because that energy, that curiosity, that freedom that children have, like that's where we could be. Like that, that just exploration that they have about the world and trying things and just being open, like that's what we can experience. Instead of like closing ourselves off and thinking, okay, only in this box is the box in which I can operate.
Havilah, that brings me to mind NLP work.
Yes.
It really does. It's like, yes, yes.
Oh,
so
neuro-linguistic programming, yes. Like and that's going to help you to, work out a lot of those issues.
Amen.
As well as taking on these 4 agreements, and just being consistent and just doing your best with those things, because then over time, that's all that it is that mindset, that belief system, that paradigm shift that's happening in your mind, that's when things start to change. So even if it's day by day, you doing a little by a little, or you jumping into like methodologies like NLP and, getting a lot done very quickly. There are many, like they say, there's many ways to skin the cat. So excellent. So does anybody have any, final thoughts about those 4 agreements, or any shares on, even because it's been 2 weeks since we had the discussion about the first 2, like how have you been able to start implementing, those agreements in your life, or some things maybe you're going to do a little bit differently so that you, get the results that you want.
I'll share.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I just really feel I've read this book many times, and it's in my library, so I've read it before. It's just, Havilah, I just can't thank you enough for the call. I just want to start by saying that, and all these wonderful females that have been sharing tonight, because it's just, for me, it's just the remembering, it's just the continuation. Life happens, and then sometimes we forget even what it is that we already know. And it's just calls like this and people coming together like we are, and just, sharing from our hearts and enlightening other people with our own experiences. And you've all been brilliant on this call tonight, as of last week or the 2 weeks ago as well. Just keep doing what you're doing, Havilah. All of us need to just keep doing what we're doing. For me, it's just a continuous process, and I just appreciate the call and everyone on here.
Oh, thank you so much. We so appreciate you, joining and being a part of the discussion and sharing, because that's what it's about. We are like-minded individuals who are about our personal and professional growth and development. And so those minds, it's that mastermind principle of us coming together and being able to dissect and share and, look at this information and then applying it in our lives. Like, we are being the change we want to see in the world. And that's all there is to it. So thank you so much as well.
Yeah, this is Sandra.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually share those words the young lady just spoke. Yeah, it is awesome. The platform that you create for individuals to get on. It's an awesome platform. But for me, in terms of what I want to work more on is something that it's a couple of things. One of them is because I've actually read this book a couple of times myself, and I was so much in need of reading it again. One of the things was the being impeccable with your word. I was so reminded of that, and I needed to be reminded of it. I know had to do with the last call, but still, it was one of the things that I realized I needed to work hard on. Just because I could, not be where I needed to be, because I could make that decision to do that. That I realized that was not important. If you said you were going to do it, if I said I was going to be there, then I had to get better at being impeccable with my word, because it means a lot. You're actually building a character, a person that you yourself can feel good about. And then the assumption thing, for the most part, I had some understanding of how that works, but doing this again, it helps me to become even more astute to this particular principle. And because you know what, you waste a lot of time with assumptions. Somebody put a percentage out there of 80 to 20, 80% you're wrong. Just think about that. If I'm 80% of the time I am wrong about my assumption, that's too much time. I mean, you can actually hone a skill in the time that you spending and holding on to assumptions that for the most part, they're not even real. I mean, how ridiculous is that for me to spend so much of my time on something that's not even real? So I would have to question myself, am I really where I need to be? No. Part of it could be because the assumptions that I made. And so I realized, that this reiteration, this reading this stuff over again was so meaningful for me. And it inspires me to just get to a place where I need to get better than the place that I am now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Absolutely. And we all, in applying these principles and applying these particular agreements within our lives, even as the last agreement says, we're going to just always do our best. So when we have the knowledge, we have that awareness, now it's the implementation of that, and then just doing our best each and every day so that we get to the place that we want to be. So congratulations on your journey and implementing these agreements. And I love it. Thank you for the share. Excellent.
You're welcome.
So I am so excited that we were able to have this discussion about the 4 agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And of course, because we do this every single month, next month, our book for discussion, I'm going to put up on the preview screen, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Yes, now this one I am so very excited for as we go through those principles of success. Think and Grow Rich is actually one of the top 10 selling books of all time. It has created more millionaires and successful individuals than any other success philosophy, which, matter of fact, most of them are based off of Think and Grow Rich. So we're going to go straight to the man himself, Mr. Napoleon Hill, to find out those things that we should be implementing into our lives and our businesses to be able to get where we want to go. So the part 1 discussion, as we have 2 parts of that discussion every month. Our part 1 discussion will be on Tuesday, February the 7th, and that'll be at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, and 5 p.m. Pacific if you're joining us over from California like Miss Sheila is. And you have the opportunity to either join us by computer or by phone, and the information is available on that flyer. And then also our part 2 discussion, so you want to mark in your calendars, is going to be for Tuesday, February the 21st. Times remaining the same. So Tuesday, February 7th and Tuesday, February the 21st are part 1 and part 2 discussions. I'm also going to share with you all because the Napoleon Hill Foundation actually does have some official versions. There's lots of different versions of Think and Grow Rich. There are some official, there's 4 official versions of the Think and Grow Rich book, which you can now see on your screen. You can also find those at naphill.org. That's NAPHILL.org. And those are the 4 ones that are officially from the Napoleon Hill Foundation, even though there are like tons of versions of Think and Grow Rich that are available. So we're super excited to be able to have that conversation in just a few weeks. So make sure that you grab your copy of the book and you join us right here next time for the Billionaire Book Club. I am Havilah Malone, and so honored to be able to have these discussions with you all. I tell you, this gives me life. Like, this gives me life. So thank you so much. This recording will be available on YouTube. So if you go to youtube.com/Havilah Malone, that's HAVILAHMALONE, then you will have access to the replay of the call in case it's some nuggets and pieces that you want to be able to like rehear again, or you want to be able to share this with somebody who was not able to make the call. So, and then also make sure that you remember that for your little ones, for the little people in your life, you know, your young ones, who we want to make sure that we're giving them the best foundation for success. So in alignment with our book for next month that we're going to be going through, which is going to be Think and Grow Rich, there is also a book that is now available. I'm pulling up the cover right now. There's a book that's available for children that teaches them the 17 principles of success that Napoleon Hill teaches. So I will share that with you. And that is called The Amazing Adventures of Oliver Hill. That book is available on Amazon or on naphill.org as well. So you want to make sure that you pick that up for, you know, setting the best foundation for the young ones in your life. So I look forward to our next conversation, our next book club. And in the meantime, in between time, make sure you're applying the things that you are learning and make the best of this day, of this month, and this year, because you can. So thank you, everybody.
Amen.
And we will see you next time.